Welcome to the Jim Bakker Show, coming to you from the village of Morningside, snuggled in the beautiful Ozark Mountains. Today, our special guest is CEO and founder of Defender Publishing, Tom Horn. Author and COO of Skywatch TV, Joe Horn. Head of Research for Defender Publishing and author, Ali Anderson. And Doctor of Chiropractic Medicine, Dr. Ralph Umbriaco. I'm your co-host, Ricky Baker, and now, here are the hosts of the show and my parents, Jim and Lori Baker.
Thank you, Ricky Baker, and welcome to Gray Street.
Yeah.
And Tom Horn is back with us today. Family and staff.
Amazing.
With a brand new book from the Defender Publishing, TIMEBOMB.
There's a statistic out there going around that the world's leading holistic scientists and doctors now believe that as many as 80% of Americans are carrying a time bomb medical crisis in their bodies, totally unaware that soon it will reveal itself to them in the form of chronic disease, autoimmune disease, chronic fatigue, and potentially cancer. Now, what is causing this? I call it the food genocide, and I didn't coin that, but the food genocide that's happening in this country in particular, it is a syndrome called leaky gut syndrome, and it is a result of eating processed foods. We've totally moved away from agrarian lifestyle.
Here's the thing, people. You've got to do something.
Yes.
You've got to do something. If you don't want diabetes, if you don't want Alzheimer's, let's find out what's making it happen, because we didn't have Alzheimer's like this 50, 60, 100 years ago.
No.
And something's going wrong. Something is hurting our brains.
That's right. Now, let me also
So
say
get
this,
the
Jim.
book.
Yes,
and
I
it's
know.
in there. There's a whole section on Alzheimer's in this book.
Yes.
But I want you to get the book now. Call 888-988-1588. That number is toll free. Go to our website. You can just push buttons and order it right there, and you can use your credit card.
You hit a subject even on here, and we don't have to go into it at all, but talking about diabetes. Healthy people at risk for diabetes. Talking about, have you ever met somebody who's thin, who's slightly built, who looks like they would never, you look at them and think they would never have diabetes. I've met a lot of like skinny people who have diabetes. Sure. And let me also say this. My father died at 64 years of age, at 480 pounds, because he ate himself to death. And I am so thankful, Tom, that you didn't have to start taking the injections that he did 3 times a day in his stomach. And then he said, "A little girl, you better go fix me something. I want everything. I'm not going to change." And we went to his doctor. We said, what can we do to help him live? And he simply said to us, and this was in 1999, he said, he won't change. He doesn't want to change. And sure enough, he was dead just like that, gone. And it's very hard for an adult child to watch their adult parent kill themselves with food.
Dr. Ralph, give me 5 things that if you were starting with a new patient, for instance, and you saw they were a mess, they were eating junk, what would you tell them to do? Can you do that? I know that's a great
No,
question.
that's an excellent question. We can think in terms of 5 things to do, not 20 and 30 things to do. So here's an example. Probably the number 1 thing is remove sodas from your diet. The average American drinks 8 sodas a day. Now, I don't drink any sodas. My wife doesn't drink any sodas. Someone's drinking our sodas. So it's time to turn off the soda spigot, because that's just liquid death. So let's just say no to that. Thing number 2, and this goes back to some of the things you were doing with the water filtration system that you were offering, and that is this. Your body is made mostly of water. On average, about 70% water. Some organs will contain more water than other organs. If you want to change the quality of your life, you have to change the quality of your water. And most people don't drink either A, enough water, or B, a good quality water. Mm-hmm. And there's 2 conditions to look out for here. One is actual dehydration, but another condition that's just as harmful, though more insidious, is underhydration. When you're optimally hydrated, you perform in sports better, you perform in school, doing testing better, you have more energy throughout the day, less chance of illness, and on top of that, sexually you can perform when you have enough water into your system. So those are the first two things. The third thing I would do is you have to start putting more fiber in your diet. Most people don't get enough fiber, and fiber is the broom that keeps the surface of the intestines clean. We mentioned yesterday in the program that your inside lining of the gut tube is an absorptive surface. If it's dirty, just like your car filter being dirty, an oil filter being dirty, your home ventilation and air conditioner system having a dirty filter, it's not going to perform. So that's number 3. Number 4, and this is going to sound weird, but you have to look at the whole person. You can't just treat the signs and symptoms. So this idea of, do you have unforgiveness in your heart? Do you have bitterness in your heart? Have you opened the doors in some way, either knowingly or unknowingly, that has allowed things to come in and oppress you in the form of demonic entities or in the form of let's say, thoughts that are reoccurring that are causing a decrease in your chemical composition, not an increase in your chemical composition. So for some of us, we have to release bitterness. We have to release anger and unforgiveness.
Oh,
and
that's
our healing
powerful.
will show. Our healing's right on the other side of that, but we have to be willing to humble ourselves to the point where we can receive that healing. Right now, that unforgiveness is keeping that healing from coming into our bodies or into our spirits or into our minds. And then the last thing, and this is going to sound really weird, but you have to be excited about your own health. If you're not excited about your own health, if you're not willing to do for you, you can't expect other people to drop their life and live for you. There's actually a saying, when you know you're codependent, when you die, you see somebody else's life pass in front of your eyes. And that's because you're such a caretaker for the person who isn't willing to do for themselves that you're filling in the gap, but then you're neglecting your own health as well.
Yeah.
So when you take care of yourself, you have the best capacity to fulfill God's purposes and plans for you in reaching a world that desperately needs Jesus.
Amen.
Wow.
That's powerful.
Oh,
Powerful.
we could go hours with this. Allie, I wanted to go back to the book, and this book is full of advice like this.
It is.
These are the people who really put this book together. They're all sitting here on this stage, and there's a lot more people, interviews and all. And Allie, the toxins that you talk about in this book, are they literally, is it really poisoning us? I mean, it sounds like there's things in our body that either turn to poison inside of us or they're poison to begin with, just like the colors in our food, the dyes. We think, isn't that pretty red food? Only if it's a beet. I mean, but they're putting poison so much, and we can stop the madness. We can stop the madness. And this book, I'm sorry that Joe Horn had to go through what he went through, but because of his going to the brink of death, he has worked hard, and his wife, she worked harder, I'm sure, because she had to take care of the children when he was so sick he couldn't do it all. Yeah. But would you answer that question for me,
Well,
Allie?
yeah, the excitotoxins that we talk about in the book, and we talked a little bit about them yesterday. As I said yesterday, they cause a rapid fire of sensations that take place in the brain, and after this happens, those brain cells die. So that's one byproduct of the toxins. There are also ingredients that are literally cancer-causing. Some of them are carcinogens. Each of these ingredients has a different way that it can manifest, that it can be dangerous. But specifically to the excitotoxins that we talked about, many people don't know that the largest growing demographic of people who are currently being put on antidepressants is preschool age. So we're talking about...
Wait, stop. Wait, say that again. I don't think...
Many people don't realize that our largest, within the American society, our largest growing demographic that is of people who are being put every day on antidepressants are our preschoolers aged 18 months to 5 years old.
That's shocking.
And so what this means is that we are, because I said yesterday, we're eating stimulants. A lot of people don't realize this problem goes so much deeper than too much caffeine, too much sugar. could be well-meaning parents,
Yes.
well-meaning schools, well-meaning doctors are not stopping this. Well-meaning people are allowing our children to eat stimulants 3 times a day. And when mood disorders surface, when attention disorders surface, when behavioral disorders surface, we respond by taking them to a well-meaning doctor who puts them on a medication. After a while of being on these medications, side effects surface that are things like hallucinations, severe depression, thoughts of suicide, and we say, this mental disorder that was diagnosed a couple of years ago has escalated. Let's escalate the medicine. And what we don't realize is we are medicating a dietary issue. So these toxins are so much bigger than food that has too much sugar or too much caffeine, or this certain dye makes little Billy act up and he gets really hyper. This problem is so much deeper than that.
Well, and so think. Think of this. So we have all the theologians, the people that are experts in spiritual warfare and all that.
Yes.
That talk about generational curses.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
But they don't ever equate that to food, and yet we know that now that the kind of damage you could be doing to your capacity to think, to your mood disorders, to your genetics, can be passed along into your children up to 14 generations. So we don't tend to think of generational curses as a result of what I'm eating, but it absolutely is.
Right.
You are predisposing generations of your offspring
That's
to
a
genetic
fact.
disorders and mental disorders as a result of eating processed food.
That's a fact.
Ricky, I
It's the very
told
same
you
thing
to
that you
protect
talked about.
yourself because for my grandchildren's sake that are future to come.
Exactly.
Jim, if
Doctor.
I can share
Thank God there's divine healing, right?
Amen. If I can share something that maybe will help your audience understand in a bigger view what's going on inside their body, and that is this. In your body, you have an endocrine system. Endo means inside, and crine means gland. And each of these glands produces hormones. And hormones are very, very, very powerful messengers that either tell the body to do or not to do something. This endocrine community has a communication system called the endocrine web. And it's a very delicate community. And if you introduce something in there to disturb the endocrine web, you break down communication within the body. And this is one of the things that causes addictive behavior or cravings. In your mind, in your brain, this is going to sound a little strange, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time because it's going to sound harsh if you haven't thought of it this way before, but your brain makes narcotics and feeds it to itself. So you might have heard of substances like endorphins and enkephalins. There's also a system in your body called the endocannabinoid system, where there are supposed to be 650 different cannabinoids that are supposed to be in not just cannabis, but it's supposed to be in natural plants, but our soils are so depleted that the plant can't offer to you what it never received from the soil to begin with. And then in addition to that, your pineal gland produces something called dimethyltryptamine, which is a powerful, powerful hallucinogen. It's what allows you to dream. Well, the issue kind of becomes when we eat foods that act as false hormones, they disrupt the endocrine web's communication system, and then that breaks down to the point where your body is left in the raw on its back, not knowing what to do, and you feel like you're literally falling apart from the inside out. And to reverse that, we have to get away from man's plan, and we have to move toward God's plan, and it will take care of itself in most cases.
It's incredible.
Let's go to 2792. We eat pounds and pounds of cancer-causing chemicals, even when we think we're eating healthy. This is from the video that you get as a free bonus when you order today.
And a lot of the weight that people are suffering in this country, even after they think like my father, talking about how he thought he was eating well, you were doing pretty decent for a traditional American diet, but still eating a ton of garbage. And I don't mean, Twinkies. I mean garbage in the form of meats and foods that he thought were healthy, that were not properly raised, artificial dyes, not free of toxins, pesticides, preservatives, chickens that are hormonally treated. We've talked about that.
Right.
There's just, when you add it all up at the end of the week, if you could visualize a bowl of nothing but cancer-causing toxins, Americans are eating this stuff by the pound every week. Even the ones that are on these specialized diets that think they're doing well.
that's one little bite of 5 hours of video of information that you need to have it. I know what it costs to go to a doctor.
Right.
And it can cost, one visit can cost thousands of dollars. But we're talking about getting some information that you can help yourself.
Yes.
Somebody said, you know, God helps those who help themselves. I don't know if that's in the Bible or not. But I really believe that we should do something. And I believe that today you can start by saying, I'm going to give and it shall be given unto you. Well, I'm going to give $35 to this ministry, okay? And we're going to give you back this brand new book just out today. I think it's bold. I applaud Joe Horn.
I do
I
too.
really want Joe back.
And Allie.
And Allie. But Joe's testimony, we really didn't get into it deeply.
Right.
He came to the brink of death. We didn't know, his family didn't know, as I read the book, if he was going to make it.
Right.
And it was bad. And I'm sorry, but I really believe that with what you've learned, you wouldn't have had to have part of your colon removed.
Oh, sure.
I mean,
16
I'm sorry. I
inches,
don't.
right?
I'm not judging.
No, I believe
I'm just
completely.
saying what you're doing now and what you've discovered. And I think your wife agrees. And she tried to stop the surgery. I think almost because she was
Well,
reading.
started-
She was learning.
sorry.
You were learning.
I read
Right.
the book.
But why do you don't have to do these? At least read the book before your
Right.
surgery. Read the book and find out, what can I do?
Yes.
If you're going to get well, you got to do it. You're the one that walks to that refrigerator and pulls out a diet soda full of junk and drinks it. You have to say, no, I know it's poison. Do you get me? I know you think I'm a fanatic, but you've got to do this yourself. And that's what Joe did. And he learned. And now he's becoming almost an expert in this area. And he's hanging out with a lot of doctors and a lot of people who can help. And a lot of holistic people. And you have the advantage right now of defusing this time bomb.
Yes.
And it's called the time bomb, genocidal of deadly processed food, a national health epidemic more persuasive than anyone imagined. Don't be its next victim. It says here, you don't have to be a victim.
No.
Fight it. Stand up. God gave us good stuff to eat. And let's get the poisons out. Okay? Let's get the poisons out. So you get this book.
Joe and Allie talk about it on the DVDs, but also in the book in detail, and gives you, it's so easy to read. It's so intriguing, and you give us so many tips. I'm a person that loves tips. Just give me a little tip here, a little tip here. Not money tip. I'm talking like a tip of, a tip of a little nugget, a little tip to help me along the way, like going to in the grocery store. Don't go inside, go around the aisles, right? Little things like that. But so much information is in
the chapter
here.
we got onto on our show is, but I wanted to stay there for about another 20 minutes. It's the labels, how to read them, how to decipher them.
Well, it's in here.
And
It's in the book.
You spent a whole chapter on that.
Yeah.
That's important, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like you've decoded a
Yes.
language
Yes.
for us.
You are. That's what you did. That's brilliant, Jim. Decoded a language for us, because this. I mean, I
Your
always
shopping
say.
language, you have to know.
I always say-
and you have to read the labels.
But here's the thing about reading the labels, Jim. This takes it to the next level, because you have now given us the up-to-date version of what they are really saying,
Right.
which is powerful, and it's all in this book.
One of the things about Time Bomb that's unique is it's a very hopeful look at what something that our world's leading holistic and neuroscientists are just barely beginning to understand, this gut-brain connection. And we don't have time in this program, but here's the deal. As you begin to heal your gut, and a lot of this information, the things that you can do supplement-wise and the things that you can do with your diet to begin to repair the gut, to get rid of the inflammation in your core, and reset your immune system, is they're finding now, in case you didn't see yesterday's program, that people that have been made to believe that their autoimmune diseases are a permanent or a hereditary thing that they must manage with hydroxyzine or whatever this month's pharmaceutical pitch is going to be, not just managing the symptoms, but putting these things into total remission. So people suffering, if you're out there watching this program and you're dealing with Crohn's or lupus or fibromyalgia or any other type of autoimmune
or psoriasis,
and you have been through what you believe is every hoop. I've had every test. I've tried every drug. I've been at this for years. If you've never looked at healing the gut and a natural path to medicine, I'm talking about homeopathic, naturopathic, get a chiropractor with expertise in herbalism. If you've never looked at that path, then the hopeful part of this, you really haven't gotten started yet.
Right.
And when you start to realize that, like 20 years I've been doing this, but there's this whole brand new series of steps that God has laid out for me, it is so hopeful.
And
really
you're
is.
proof that it works.
And
I'm proof that it works.
I'm proof that it works. I struggled for years with various diseases.
and it started at 16, you told us yesterday.
First symptoms in my late teens and got really bad in my 30s. And I was made to believe I was carrying a time bomb. I was told by the first specialist that did my first colonoscopy when they realized and discovered that I had a disease called diverticulosis. They told me that day, Joe, these infections called diverticulitis, they could come back. If they do, and that happens 3 times, for most people that becomes chronic, they'll come back sooner and sooner and sooner, and what could happen is your colon will burst at a time where you've not chosen this to happen, obviously. We have no control over surgical intervention. You'll become infected, this could become septic, and you could die. So for years, I lived with this time bomb. I'm just working, and then I had a second infection, and then I had my third infection, and they started happening closer and closer, closer together, and they were worse and worse and worse. And then finally, I began to believe I was septic because the symptoms never went away, and I talk about in the book.
Yes.
The symptoms past the third one. So you also don't understand, in your gut you need a certain amount of healthy bacteria, and every time you're on most antibiotics, it destroys the gut flora. So I'm taking antibiotics to try to help this gut pain go away, and I'm destroying the healthy bacteria in my gut. It's just a vicious circle, but the point is, God had a different plan.
Yes.
People ask me, do I regret, now that I know I probably could have averted this path? I'd love to have my entire colon. God put it there for a reason, right? They ask me, do you regret having the surgery? My answer is, God never gave me this disease so that I would learn from it and then help others. No. I didn't take care of my temple. I indulged in the things I wanted. I ate what I saw that looked good. All the while, throughout my life, at times he would bring people into my path, like my wife, who would say, you probably should look at a natural solution to the things you're doing, to the things you're experiencing. Now I got real problems. God did not give me a series of diseases. I think he allowed me to deal with the consequences of choices I made through ignorance, in part, through lack of knowledge, which is what I'm attempting to try to help others with the book Time Bomb, right?
Yes.
But God was so gracious to me that he provided a way out of that for me.
Praise God.
It's not that he did it to me so that I would then turn around and help others. He provided a path out. And as I started to feel my health return, after years of trying to accept the fact that my life looked like this diminished thing where my quality of life was slipping every year, I didn't want to embellish that. It just seemed like a terrible missed opportunity not to tell others. If you're struggling, if you're suffering, and you've been there too, and you think you've tried it all, you might not have actually started your hopeful journey at looking at God-given herbs and a path to health. And it's out there.
Yeah.
It is, and I want to thank you for that, because we've had so many health experts on the show, and we've become very knowledgeable about a lot of things in our lives, and we really take it to heart, and we live what we've been taught. And I'm going to tell you, this book, Joe and Allie, this book has taken it to the next level for us.
Wow.
Totally taken it to the next level. I am so passionate about this book, because I'm going to tell you something. When you don't have your health, it's hard to have your spiritual health.
Sure.
I don't care what anybody says, that's the truth. If you've ever been through a serious illness and you feel like you're dying, or maybe they have given you the death sentence, it's hard to even read your Bible. It's hard to even let people pray for you. It's hard to pray yourself. But when you have your physical health and a sense of well-being, just a sense of well-being and the sense of hope, that there's hope. This book truly is taking us to the next level. You wait till you see Jim and Lori. Oh yeah, we're on, this is exciting for us, because you in this book have taught us so much already, and this is just the introduction to this book, right? Right, Tom? Is this the first time that you've offered this book? It's just come off the presses?
Yep, you're absolutely the first. Nobody, not Amazon, nobody has this book.
If you get the book, this is a hardback book for a gift of $35 to the ministry. Then we give you 5 hours of video on the time bomb. This is interviews and conversations that he has with the doctors, with the people who have looked into all of this and helped him with this. And Allie Anderson is on the shows, or on the videos, that you can watch. So, and there's about 6 of the people that are talking that helped him find his way to health again.
Yes.
And you can take this whole thing and find perhaps your answer to what you've been looking for a long, long time. And they're giving as a bonus, I didn't know what to do with this until I saw it. I thought, what am I going to do with a Dead Pets Don't Lie? What in the world is this about? And Joe is a pet expert. You got to come back and talk about this video and talk about the new book that you're writing about dead pets don't lie. They discovered that the dead animals are taken to rendering plants, and they're turned into protein powder. That's what they call it, right? Am I right?
Yes, protein powder, and then it's sold to commercial pet food manufacturers. But the chemical pentobarbital survives that. That's the lethal drug they use to put the animals down in the first place, and then your pets end up ingesting it, which is having all kinds of effects on their kidneys and their digestive tracts.
It says on one of the videos, it says that you all say that even the dog's collars are left on sometimes.
Yes, this is grocery market meats. You ever wonder where those go, that are sitting on the styrofoam trays with the labels and the ink and the paper?
Where?
All of that stuff.
The spoiled food that they can't sell anymore.
It gets put off to the rendering company, and so up of a conveyor belt you might have a cat with a collar and a plastic ID, and then maybe there's a bunch of old fish that's over the expiration date, and it all gets turned.
What do they do? Chickens. Tell us how chickens are processed.
So how do you get a chicken to full maturity in 4 weeks when it should take 3 months? And then you realize that almost all the chicken in this country, 90% of it now, is grown like this.
That's right.
They have to carcinogenically damage the chicken's own hormone systems, so that then when they infuse it with growth hormones like Prozac, the chicken's own body doesn't fight against the Prozac. So they damage. It'd be like Jim. I want you to gain weight faster than you should be able to, so I destroy your thyroid.
Oh.
This is how they do it. So they damage the chicken's own hormonal self-governing systems, so that then they can pump them full of hormones to make them full maturity in 4 weeks. Now, all of those chemicals, of course, survive in the meat when it's prepped and distributed.
So it goes into human beings, first of all.
You ingest it.
We're talking about the dogs, but it's...
So even if you think you're eating clean and you eat a grilled chicken option at a restaurant, more than likely you're ingesting carcinogens.
Oh, boy.
Arsenic.
My doctor...
Arsenic, yes.
One of the things I've dealt with is you get older, you deal with so much different than I dealt with the thyroid situation. And my doctor told me how important the thyroid is. Can you imagine the hormones in the chickens hurt my thyroid then, perhaps? It affects the chicken's thyroid. Does it affect I don't want it to affect my thyroid.
Dr. Ralph?
Because the strength and energy that I have, my thyroid is very important, isn't it, doctor?
It's exceptionally important because your thyroid enhances not only your mood, but your metabolism as well as your immune system. So if your thyroid's knocked out, your mood's going to be influenced, your immune system's going to be influenced, your metabolism's going to be influenced. And here's what's interesting. Right now, most people don't know this, but you can do a search on the web. Just type in nuclear detonation timeline. Nuclear detonation timeline. And you'll see clips, many posts. They run like 10 to 14 minutes apiece. Most people have no idea how many nuclear detonations we've had, but there's been over 2,051 nuclear detonations since the very first nuclear detonation, July 16, 1945, in New Mexico at the White Sands Trinity Proving Grounds. So there's too much background radiation, and everyone's thyroid is being injured. And in order to be able to protect your thyroid, you need iodine. But most people don't have enough iodine in their system. So when you think of things like polycystic ovarian disease, or fibrocystic breast disease, or thyroid nodules, or cysts in the pancreas, or cysts in the liver, or in the kidneys, this is a hallmark sign of low iodine or iodine deficiency. And we used to have iodine in our foods, and they used to put iodine in to clean the cow, to clean its teat as you were milking it. They would use iodine. Now they use triclosan, which is a carcinogen. But the iodine would end up in the milk, and then they used to use iodine in bread. And the iodine would keep the loaf of the bread contained. It would keep the outside of the bread connected to the body of the bread. Well, now they've done away with that. You used to get about 2 milligrams of iodine or so with a slice of bread. Well, today they use bromide. And there's absolutely no use in the human body for bromide whatsoever. In fact, during the Prohibition years, people would go out and they would drink heavily, and they didn't want to be seen as having a hangover the next day, so they would drink like bromoseltzer. And there was a well-known condition back then that physicians knew how to diagnose called bromopsychosis. People would go into a psychotic episode because of too much bromide in their system. Well, now they're putting brominated vegetable oil in all kinds of foods, including soft drinks. And kids who are drinking a bunch of hardcore soft drinks that have high bromelated in, they're breaking out into psychotic episodes, and nobody knows why.
You can stop the madness. You can stop the killing.
Yes.
Now, so we're trying to talk about dead pets that don't lie. So the chicken, let's go back. So the chickens that die by themselves, when they're all together, they're put in these brooder boxes. What do they call them?
Food animal.
And so when these chickens die on their own, they're not allowed to sell that to it doesn't get to the market, right?
It's not supposed to enter into any distribution networks that would end up on your table.
So what does that look like? What does that chicken look like now?
So
that it grows in 4 weeks to full-grown chicken.
So the body of the chicken, the frame is not developed at the same rate of the meat, which they're not going to use the body, so they don't care about that part. So these chickens end up writhing around. They look like basketballs. You can see YouTubes of this if you have the stomach for it.
They don't allow cameras in if possible.
But the bones of the chicken, the frames, the systems that are supposed to support the chicken as it comes to full maturity don't keep up with how quickly they're being pumped full of these Prozac hormones. So they end up, the tiny little undeveloped legs, they're rolling around on the ground. Many of them die because of the cancer. They have visible tumors, lesions. They've got, it gets really difficult to describe without people's stomach turning. And the ones that die are also turned over to the rendering companies, and that is also a part of what they grind into the protein powder that goes into your commercial pet food.
And
Okay,
other
so not
products.
just pets, Jim, but we're eating.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Oh,
But here's the nice
man.
part about Time Bomb. It says, here's how complicated this is. Here's what's terrible in this chicken. But
yes.
buy a free-range chicken. You want
Right.
chicken, go to an organic grocery store and get a free-range chicken.
Yes,
Right?
that's
Raise
right.
your own chickens, whatever.
Okay, let's take a look at a little piece because our show's about gone today. Dead pets don't lie. This video is a bonus when you give the $35. You get the brand new Time Bomb book and the video of Time Bomb. Most important book perhaps you'll ever buy in your lifetime.
Yeah.
And then this is the bonus. And Lori and I, so help me, we're so shocked at this video. I love this doctor on there. I'd like to meet her. Maybe she could bring her back.
Jean Hovey, yeah, she's board certified. She serves, is it the F?
She's an animal doctor.
She was a member of AFCO, which is an advisory panel that makes recommendations to the FDA on what pet food standards should look like. But I want to throw something out, if you don't mind. It's very quick. But if people are struggling to accept what we're saying, they would never allow this. They're not going to. And if let's say it was in the pet food, then these big box stores, they would never buy them. They wouldn't want that kind of a liability on their hand. Two things. One, Google very quickly pet food recalls, and you'll see that it happens a lot. Two, from the FDA's own words. I want to read this because we're talking about the chemical pentobarbital that's used to euthanize these dogs and cats. If you have any more questions after this, I defer to the video. This is directly from the FDA. Because in addition to producing anesthesia, pentobarbital is routinely used to euthanize animals, the most likely way it could get into dog food would be in rendered animal products. Rendered products come from a process that converts animal tissues to feed ingredients. Pentobarbital seems to be able to survive the rendering process. If animals are euthanized with pentobarbital and subsequently rendered, pentobarbital could be present in the rendered feed ingredients. That's directly from the FDA's website.
So
they're not even pretending that this is not happening.
From the dog doctors, somebody's picking up dead animals.
The commercial
dead cat,
pet food industry,
dead
they are
dogs.
Roadkill.
They are banking. They are banking on the assumption that you can't accept this.
This is so important. And you care about your animals. For the first about 12 years of my life, I only had a dog as a friend. That was my best friend, Lucky. And I'll tell you what, and I want to ask you a theological question before we're really getting deep in here. Will Lucky be in heaven? My dog Lucky.
Yeah.
I was traumatized when he died. They was run over by a car in front of me.
It is my belief that an animal that is made part of a Christian family, a home, will be in heaven with you.
I believe that.
If you want him, I always say.
Well, and this has to, a lot of theologians, G.H. Pember, the celebrated English theologian, a lot of theologians.
Are you going to put this in your new book? This is gutsy stuff.
Yeah. But a lot of them said that they will be. You know what they base this on? Two things primarily. Number one, in the beginning, God created all of these animals, and he stands back and he looks at them, and in the Hebrew it says, he says they are ta'ud, which means they are everything I wanted them to personally be for me.
That's why they're so awesome.
Right? Now, if you accept that with what the temptation with Lucifer in the Garden of Eden did, if that permanently disavowed forever that God can never again reclaim what he created for himself in the first place, that's terrible theology, right?
Yeah.
In the restitution, that's why New Testament theology says all of creation groans and travails to wit for the redemption of the sons of God, but it also describes the animals in heaven. Look at the 1,000-year millennial reign where a child sits down in the hole of an asp and the lamb lays down with the lion. God, if you look at the covenant God made with Noah, read what he says. I make this covenant with you and with every animal that you bring into the ark. God says, this covenant I have made with them as well as with you. That's all through the Old and New Testament, that theology. We just don't tend to think about it, right? But the other part of why theologians believe that they could be redeemed has to do with the idea that you are bringing them back under the original covenant. That when you take an animal, you bring it into your home and you give it a name, you are doing, well, look, when God made a covenant with people, look what he always did. He changed their name.
That's what Jim did to our dogs. He changed their name. Oh, my goodness.
Well, I even changed God's angels' names. Well, we'll have that conversation at a different time. I figured he's going to change, when you get to heaven, you have a new name. If you change my name, I'm changing your angel's name. So I did. So I have personal guardian angels, and I named them. Well, anyway.
That's good. Whew.
So,
but the other part of this is bringing them back into the same kind of Edenic covenant that they originally had, where God said, I'm naming you, now I want you to name the animals. And when you name an animal, look at what happens with a dog, for instance. When you name an animal, you call what's the name of your dog?
Lucky.
Okay, Lucky. Look what happens with Lucky. You name Lucky, And look what happens with Lucky. Soon that dog knows its name. This means it has identity. It's not like a wild animal out there just running around in the forest that doesn't know who it is. You say, Lucky, its ears go up because it knows its name, right? That's deep theology to a lot of scholars. You have given the animal identity, and you've brought it back under the Edenic covenant. You've made it part of the family of God by naming it, right? And therefore, when that animal dies, you're probably going to see it in heaven because it's part of a restoration, a recovenant with God. The animal is as well as you, just like it was in the Garden of Eden. Now, if people don't want to believe that, they don't have to, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But there are a lot of theologians. Billy Graham believed it. Randy
Billy
Alcorn
Graham?
believes it. Yeah, a lot of.
Did
really,
he ever write it down?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, he talks about it in one of his books. A little girl came up to him all sad. My little dog died, and I want to know if it goes to heaven. His answer was, well, if you want it to be in heaven, then it will be. Right?
See, and that's my line, too. And I'm glad, Billy, because now I have a good source.
The famous author C.S. Lewis wrote an entire book on this argument. Some of the best theology that's quoted by a lot of other theologians actually comes from
Wow.
C.S. Lewis arguing in favor of pet
So it's all
animals
right for us
in
to
heaven. Now,
care for 'em,
a
right?
wild animal that's not, even a dog or a cat or whatever, that's never part of a covenant family, he argued, probably not going to go to heaven, right? And crickets and bugs and that kind of thing, not going to go to heaven. But a pet animal that you name and make a part of your family is brought back into the Edenic covenant.
Is that fascinating?
It is
I think
so
it's fascinating.
amazing.
Come on. This is a little piece of Dead Pets Don't Lie. Let's see what it says.
The first time I ever heard the phrase food animal, okay, food animal, that's the term we're using for a lot of the animals that make it into the rendering process and then passed along into these commercial pet foods. What is a food animal? A food animal, according to the FDA, is any meat source within an animal that is not fit for human consumption. So this includes animals with cancer, visible tumors. I mean, some of this stuff is so gross, I really don't want to talk about it on television and people change the channel, but you know, cattle that are found dead or already dying. Chickens with protrusions that have huge tumors coming off the side of their body where they are so large because of the illness that they're inflicted by, they can't even walk. Those are picked up by people that take all of this, the euthanized pets, the unfit for human consumption animals that are coming from farms and various places. All of them are bottlenecked to a rendering company where up a conveyor belt they go into basically a mulcher, and they're ground up into what is called a protein powder, and that powder is then sold to tons. I mean, I think it would really shock people if they knew the number of popular these people have TV ads constantly promoting the health and the wellness of their commercial pet foods, and these animals are ending up all in the same vat and then sold to unsuspecting consumers who again believe that there is some benevolent insulator out there within the government that is regulating this food and keeping the world of pet food safe for them, and they don't have to do any of the thinking. When you pick up a bag of commercial pet food and you flip it over and it says meat byproduct, that's what that means. They don't want to identify a specific meat source like chicken or beef. Byproducts means, hey, it's just a big swarm of whatever we were able to get that month from the city, who's picking up dead animals from the streets. This could include roadkill. But also, when a supermarket gets a whole delivery of, let's say, fresh fish or chicken, when those meats at the grocery store go over the expiration, those are often then also picked up by, it's convenient for the grocery stores.
Sure.
A man will show up, he'll pick up all of those expired meats, and those are also delivered to the pet food rendering companies. And when they're all coming up the conveyor belt before they get mulched, they're not opened. They're not removing the plastic. They're not taking the meat
little
off
styrofoam tray.
Styrofoam
that
tray.
all gets ground up into
the steak. The sticker. The ink on the sticker.
Any supermarket rejects.
Any supermarket rejects.
And everything tied to it.
And
Packaging.
again, the euthanized pets, the roadkill, a lot of these cats and dogs are still wearing their flea collars. They don't remove the ID tags. And Derek, you know that in a recent interview that we did here at Skywatch TV, Dr. Hovey said that euthanized pets, chemicals like pentobarbital, might be the least of people's worries.
Wow. That's just a small piece.
Yeah.
And it's powerful stuff. And to think that they were wondering why I can't ever pronounce any diseases. So this chemical that causes dogs to die, they use it to kill them. They're finding that it's going into the dog food. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, we just acknowledged the FDA knows this is happening.
Yeah.
And they're banking on you to assume that that's impossible.
So this means you as a consumer, you have an animal that you love, it's part of your covenant family. You're going into a big box store, you're doing the best you can, you look up and you see the packaging that's got some doctor standing there like this, right, with his stethoscope around his neck or whatever. And the imagery is saying to you, if you really want to take care of your animal, this is the food you would buy, right? It's got phenobarbital, it's got stuff in it that is slowly killing and diseasing your animal. So that's the benefit of this DVD, is it will explain very clearly, very easily, how to buy the best kind of healthy foods for your animal. And like the next time we come back, we bring the book and stuff like that, he could even bring samples of healthy foods.
So when you order today, you're going to get the Dead Pets Don't Lie video. So you get this special set of a hardback book, the brand new Time Bomb. This is a book on how to get healthy. You have a section in here about Alzheimer and what's going on. Something different's happened to America.
Yeah.
I'm just saying to you, read, study. You know, the Bible says, study to show yourself approved. Did you know that?
Yep.
A workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing. What does that mean? Study. You divide. You study. That's how you say. You want to study a Greek word, you divide it all up, and boy, it ends up being 5 to 15 literal words out of that one Greek word, because you divide the truth and you study it. You study it piece by piece. And these products are going to really bless you today. And, you know, you're talking about have a healthy. Lori and I have used these two products, and this is Dr. Don Colbert's formula. It's non-GMO, it's dairy-free, it's
the Green Supreme food.
Soy-free. It's got free of
Right.
about all
it's
the
a
bad
powder.
stuff.
We use it in our
But this is
shakes
pure.
every single day, along with the Red Supreme. It's
There's-
organic. Yes.
And we've been taking this for how many years?
Years. Many years,
And
yes.
this is what we take it every day. We have it in our house. We make a shake out of it, and you'll get that. This is $40, right, Ricky?
That's right. It's $40, but you're also going to be getting a bonus of the book Time Bomb,
Yeah.
That's incredible.
which is an incredible
So-
deal.
You'll get this is crazy because this is a lower price, I think, than normal. And for the Green Supreme, the best thing that I think Dr. Don ever created is this. It's better, I'll tell you that. And this book will come free with it.
That's
So it's the $40 fermented Green Supreme food comes with a bonus of the Time Bomb. And if you read the book, Time Bomb, you're going to see they have pages of what you should do. And this is one of them. Eat whole food, vegetables, and all the vitamins. So the red I think it's only $35.
It's $35, but you also, with that, get a bonus of the Time Bomb book also.
Yeah, so that's the organic red Supreme food, and you get that for $35, and you get the book free with it today. We hope that you will do that. And remember, as we studied your book, we found out that you recommend water. You recommend make sure you're drinking clean water and not drinking it out of plastic bottles that leach, right?
Right, and our food is so void today because of big farming and over farming that one of the things they'll learn in the book is that you almost need to supplement so that your body can. So these products that you're pairing with that book, if they get the book, they're going to be looking for products just like that.
exactly.
It's a perfect match.
It really is a perfect match. And then we also have the water filtration system. We have the Seychelles. You guys know about it. If you haven't ordered it yet, now's the time to order it because you need to be drinking pure, clean water.
That's right. We have the pH Pure Complete Water offer, which, as you can see right behind us, that's 3,200 bottles of water, which equals up to 500 gallons. And for the exact same thing, you're going to be getting pH water up to 9.5. The charts actually say that pH is, and that is $100. So you're going to be getting the King pH pitcher with 4 filters, actually, the 2 that come with it and 2 bonus, and also a to-go pH water bottle, which is going to filter 100 gallons itself. So altogether right there that's 500 gallons of water, or you can get what's behind me. It's your choice.
The bottle alone was over $100, and it's worth it. And so you get the 2 Seychelles King pH filters, and that's, I don't know if I mentioned it yesterday when I talked about it, but it's important to know that it does. How many gallons of water's back there, Ricky?
It's 500 gallons of water.
And we're not selling bottled water, God forbid.
No.
And that water comes in dangerous plastic bottles. Dangerous plastic bottles.
And our bottles are 100% BPA free, guaranteed. So not gonna have to worry about that.
And then we have the pH 2.0 for home and to go, the Seychelles pH water pitcher, the Seychelles pH small water pitcher. So we got the King pitcher, and we've got the 32-ounce small pitcher. And then you get, as a bonus, when you get this today, you get the carrying case.
That's right.
To take the small pitcher when you go on vacations, where you just pack it in your suitcase or just stick it in the back of the car inside that. And then one of the big bargains this week we have is 6 of the 28-ounce Extreme Survival water bottles. And that's $150, free shipping, and you get 6 of the pH Extreme Survival. This is the survival bottle. This is the one you keep under the house. This is the one you carry. You go to Tijuana, you're going to want that, so you don't come back from with.
And each bottle is actually going to filter 100 gallons of water. So what you're going to be getting there is actually essentially 600 gallons of water right there. And honestly, if you go to the store, behind me is 500 gallons. It's $6,000 plus. So try and go to the store and buy 600 gallons of water for $150.
That filters out 99.9999%.
Yeah, we took those to the disasters in
contaminant.
Houston and Florida. We took it to the Puerto Rico, pre the hurricanes, but in the rainforest where it said don't drink the water, and it we're not sick, and it's still to this day filtering
But that's
out
the
all
one to
that.
carry if you're traveling overseas.
That's
I'll
right.
Tell you that.
That's right.
It takes out E. coli, bacteria, cysts, chlorine, pesticides, copper, radiation, harmful metals, aluminum,
right.
arsenic, lead, asbestos, chromium-6, fluorides, and mercury. So that is an amazing bargain, and those are pure survival.
Well, yeah, you're not going to find another bottle that's going to be able to take out your radiologicals, your biologicals, your trilomethanes that are pumped into our water systems. They try the best they can to get what they can out of our municipals try in our counties, but they can't guarantee everything. So this is definitely a guarantee to make sure you're filtering out what needs to be out of your system.
And then one more time we're going to do for Mr. Seychelles' birthday, his 84th birthday, an $84 offer. And that's the Survival Supreme Pump.
That's right.
And that pump, and it comes in its own carrying case. Mm-hmm. You can pump water out of anything, anywhere, rainwater.
I just recently went on a trip with my brother-in-law, John Woodall, and we were on a canoe, and actually we just took it and put it right inside the river and pumped it into our little bottles, and that's what we drank. It has 2 stage filters inside of it, which is going to be the Extreme, which filters out everything, but also it has the pH filter in it too, which is going to raise the pH to 9.5. So there was no harm whenever we just took it and threw it right off the side of the canoe that we're not getting the freshest, most clean water possible. Plus you're getting a bonus of the bottle that comes with it. So
the
honestly,
28-ounce survival bottle.
Yep, you could just dip that right in the river too, wherever you're going, and you'd have the cleanest water.
So order with these today, and let's start living healthy, okay?
Yes.
And these are our bottles and pitchers. We call them survival, but we use the pitchers, of course, every day at our house.
Yes.
And I carry this in my car everywhere I go, every single day. So order those today. You can go to our website at jimbakkershow.com, just jimbakkershow.com, and all the products are there. The bargains are there. There's sales. There's new product there. You can order from there, or you can just call toll free 888-988-1588. So call us right now, toll free 888-988-1588, and be sure to get the Time Bomb special today.
Yes.
The 3 products that can change your life. The Time Bomb videos and the Time Bomb book, brand new hardback book, and then the bonus also of the Dead Pets Don't Lie. One of the most astonishing research I've ever seen.
It's incredible. I can't tell. Once again, the list of people are going through my head. I'm ordering several sets myself to send for. I'm sending these for just because gifts, people that I know and love, but birthdays, anniversaries, whatever, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas. I mean, stock up on them, get them. People that you love. As we've been taping these broadcasts, I have just a list of people that I know and love, my dear friends, my family. Everybody needs this. And now is the time, as Jim Way says, now is the time. Call us, 1-888-988-1588, or go to our website, jimbakkershow.com.
I want to thank all my guests, Tom Horn,
Oh, my goodness,
president of
amazing.
Defender Publishing, founder. Appreciate him. And son Joe Horn, thank you for being with
Thank
us.
you,
It's a great
Joe.
new book.
We
And
appreciate you.
Al Anderson, nice to have you here.
Thank you, Allie.
And I'm so happy to have Dr. Ralph with us today.
Yes.
Appreciate it, Dr. Ralph, seeing you again after Israel.
Amazing.
We do have to leave.
Yes.
Be sure to order your book. Do something. You can't see change if you don't change something.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, we got to go. God loves you. He really does. Bye-bye for today.
Bye-bye. We love you.
Thank you for watching today's broadcast of The Jim Bakker Show. Please help us continue to share the gospel of Jesus on the airwaves. Call now, 1-888-988-1588 to order today's special offers. You can also write Jim at P.O. Box 7330, Branson, Missouri 65615. Or you can order this offer and many others online at jimbakkershow.com. Thank you for your prayers and financial support. It's because of you we can continue to broadcast the gospel of Jesus Christ around the world. Coming soon to Morningside and the Jim Bakker Show. Perry Stone will join us again at Morningside on Monday, May 21st. Rabbi Jonathan Kahn returns to Morningside on Tuesday, June 5th and Wednesday, June 6th. Prophet and author Rick Joyner returns to Morningside on Tuesday, June 12th. Prophets Mike and Cindy Jacobs join us for our 4th of July celebration on Wednesday, July the 4th. Brother Sadhu Sundar Selvalra, the prophet from India, returns to Morningside on Tuesday, July 10th. For our full schedule, condo and cottage rentals, and more, visit us online at jimbakkershow.com. We can't wait for you to see what God's doing here at Morningside.